Hey, all my Leo friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today to talk about your February 2024 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. I'm talking about Leo rising. If you don't know your rising sign, you'd want to go to one of the free birth calculators on the internet to determine that information, because the house structure that I'm going to talk about again is based on Leo rising. This is also applicable to Leo moon as well as Leo sun and anyone who has a Leo stellium. A stellium would be 3 or more personal planets in any one sign or house. So let's just jump right in where we see Pluto at the 0 degree of Aquarius. This is your 7th house of partnerships, and Pluto is going to stay in this house for the next 20 years. Now, oftentimes we think of the house of marriage, the 7th house of partnerships. It's much broader than just our intimate relationships. It also involves our relationships with our professional people, where we've signed a contract, literally a legal contract. It rules civil suits. It rules diplomacy, peace. It is naturally ruled by Venus, meaning the 7th house. Your 7th house is, this is about liberating yourself, expressing yourself in a way that is more authentic to the deeper truth of who you are within relationships. So Pluto at this 0 degree is birthing a new sense of how you operate within your cooperative relationships. So I think that's super important. We also see that at the time of, at about noon on that day, Pluto is also making a square to the moon. This is going to be something that moves very quickly, but it could be an emotional day because the thoughts that you have, Mercury, and this wanting to move your story forward, you could find that you have been frustrated with a lack of physical movement. But I want to offer it this way, because with Mercury and Mars traveling through most of January together, you've been building mental structures. You've been talking about things in that you want in a way that is been offering you an opportunity to now, as we move further into the year, plant those ideas into the physical world. We see on the 5th of February that Mercury will now have joined Mars. So this is really where we're starting to see this feeling of, the idea that anything where that has power and control of you, anywhere where you feel as if you might not be as driving the bus of your own life, this is going to kind of come up. And I think it's going to come up in a way that is not about blowing up your life, but rather allowing you permission to put yourself at a priority. Leo is oftentimes referred to as, people kind of go, oh, you're a Leo. Oh, yeah, the performer, the child, the clown, where we have fun. And the human structure negates that energy. What did you do today? Were you productive? It's productive to enjoy your life. So I think this is where this conjunction on the first day that Mercury enters Aquarius is thoughts of how can I take myself, liberate myself from where I have been, or where I have felt restricted, or where I felt I had to follow the rules, or where I felt like my life wasn't my own. Capricorn is your 6th house of work. So this could very much involve birthing a whole new part of your career, which we saw starting to happen in January as things were teeing up, and Mars and Mercury were moving through Sagittarius. Sagittarius being your 5th house of creativity. So here, I think there's some sort of, I feel like a lightning strike happens. And it feels good to me because Mars at the 24th degree is the Piscean degree. And Pisces is a very creative sign. So Mars is exalted in the sign of Capricorn. It is a welcome guest. It is here being, treated with the highest respect. And in doing so, it's willing to put down structure, at least the thoughts, and be brave about what it wants to birth creatively into your life. Let's go to February 9th, where we will see a new moon, and that is at 2:59 p.m. Pacific time. Let me plug that in. I mentioned in the January video that we had a new moon at 20 degrees, and here we see our second new moon in a row at 20 degrees. This is, again, an opportunity to plant the seeds for your individuality, for your what you want to experience within your contractual relationships. Now, if we superimpose the Aquarian energy, there can very much be an opportunity within your career to birth something on the internet, to find yourself working in a more futuristic technology, or applying a technology, or planting the seeds for your future based on a broader perception. The 11th house, it rules the cosmic consciousness, it rules networks and friends, it rules the World Wide Web, but it's also what they call an upachaya house, which rules our hopes and our dreams, but they are rewarded over time for putting the consistent and disciplined energy into the endeavor. So I think this is really powerful, because planting the seeds for this new moon feels as if it's supported. It's supported now by the South Node, where the South Node is here at that Leo degree. So it almost feels as if there's an opportunity for you to say to yourself, what if the greatest energy, most cooperative and peaceful energy, Libra naturally rules the 7th house. Here, Aquarius is your 7th house. When I'm birthing myself, does that put me in a better energy to feel and to support other people without feeling diminished? Now, here we also see a square to Uranus. Uranus naturally rules Aquarius, and this is that push-pull for me, where you may think, am I too outside the box? Are people not going to respond to me? The 19th degree is the Libra degree. We see, so here's the square for my transformation, Scorpio degree. 20 degrees is Scorpio degree. What's your psychological imprint? Where is it that you actually, in your mind, stop yourself from moving forward because you perceive other people will not find what you have to offer pleasant, or they may not respond to it favorably? And I think that's an illusion. So as you become egoless to others and allow yourself to birth who and what you want, then you have an opportunity to feel the stretch that your unique expression offers. Taurus is your 10th house. I feel very much these first couple months of 2024 are focused in on how you create resources for yourself, or how you spend your everyday life, what kind of work you do, and what you're endeavoring. Let me go back to 12 o'clock. And let's go to the 13th, when Mars will have entered Aquarius. Now we see in all these planets, in no short time, Venus will also be conjunct Pluto. And here, as these planets go over, as Mercury and Mars and Venus are starting to traverse and become conjunct with Pluto, these are varying levels of self-awareness. And it's not about self-judgment. It's not about regret. It's not about saying shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's about taking this moment and starting this as the launching pad. Today is the day of first day of the rest of my life. So here, Mars and Pluto are, they're cooperative. They both rule Scorpio. And we just saw 4 days earlier, a new moon in Aquarius at the Scorpionic degree. So as Venus is moving towards the last degrees of her journey through Capricorn, she's evaluating how she wants to make her money, how she's using her skills, and Mars is encouraging her to be brave. And even if she's had fear, which could be represented by Pluto rules other people's money. So you could have fear that other people don't think what you have to offer is valuable. And Mars is very much saying, soldier through that, because as you birth yourself in a wider community, the World Wide Web, or something similar to that, something that represents something futuristic, something that's taking you into an innovative energy, meaning your life has been renovated and innovated, then you're going to start to feel more comfortable. I think this is really important. The thing about the Aquarius energy is because Saturn is the co-ruler, it's very much about those hopes and dreams being realized over time, keeping yourself sort of pacing yourself, sort of looking to the interior knowing, the inner knowing, to be your rudder, to be your North Star, versus looking at the outside world for validation that what you're doing is palatable. Because I believe that as you stay the course, your tribe, your people, your community, the validation you want, the applause you want will be forthcoming, but it doesn't feel like it comes immediately. It almost feels like that's a little bit too easy. And one of Leo's biggest imprints is to have the courage to follow their heart, because they are susceptible to the applause of the audience. So now, a few days later, on the 16th, we see Venus join the party. So these guys are, constantly having a conversation throughout the first couple of weeks of February. And here, we could say Venus is the female and Mars is the man. But with this Pluto conjunction, it's about, how do I perceive myself? Where is my self-worth? Am I angry? Am I just being hostile and resentful about what I've experienced? Or am I willing to use that in a transformed, reframed way, where the sword that was, maybe stabbed into my back now becomes the sword that cuts me out of my nonsense and allows me liberation from that which sits beneath me and holds me back from being where I want to be in life. I also think that when we're going to see, we see a quick conjunction with the moon. A trine to the moon. So this could have a favorable, when I think about, because the moon moves so quickly. So at noon, we have a 0-degree trine, but I feel as if the whole time that this moon moves through Gemini, which will be most of the day, there could be an emotional awareness of what's been going on in the underbelly of your psychology. And in doing so, saying to yourself, now I'm willing to give myself a new story. That was then, and this is now. There's a really, Teri, as an intuitive astrologer, has a real issue with trying to change the past by looking at it over and over again and figuring out what happened and, why did it happen and blah, blah, blah. To me, I feel like looking at the past should be like looking through the rear view mirror of your car. You use it as a point of reference so you don't crash the car into something behind you, but you focus on the windshield because your life is moving forward. So I think that's super important, and what these planets have to offer while they're traversing through the sign of Aquarius. We will see the sun entering Pisces on the 18th. And as the sun, I'm not quite there yet, a little later in the day, but we'll leave it be. As the sun enters Pisces, it's going to make this conjunction with Saturn within a few days. And I think that that's sort of, again, where you're going to be looking at your history. Saturn rules history. Saturn rules limitations, and it rules fears. And this may be a day when you're starting to say, what's more important, holding on to my fears or allowing myself to birth myself something that could be exciting and new and feel so fresh? Pisces is imaginative. It's compassionate. It's empathetic. It is a little bit secretive sometimes. It can be a little bit mysterious and deceptive, but overall it's artistic and poetic, and it loves dance and photography. And anywhere where we see sort of this, I kind of feel like Disney is born in a Pisces energy. We also see that in Pisces, the energy of Pisces, we're willing to be compassionate to the point where we diminish ourselves. We give too much within our empathy, and Saturn isn't going to like that very much. So as the sun moves towards Saturn, more and more Saturn's going to be like, Okay, are you building a strong platform? And are you willing to take your history and transform it from a spiritual point of view? How did it serve you versus pulling you under? Let's go to the 23rd. Now we see Mercury has just entered Pisces. Now, this is an interesting energy because here we see Mercury going back into detriment. You know, this is where you're in the opposite sign of your rulership. Mercury naturally rules Virgo. And as it moves into Pisces, there's a bit of confusion that can happen. There's a bit of the information becomes muddied, it becomes unclear. And at the same time, this Pisces is a sign of being able to listen to your inner voice, the voice that has nothing to do with your everyday activities, the voice that doesn't necessarily react to human emotions, but rather knows that those emotions facilitate an experience that delineates what brings you pleasure and what doesn't. So as these planets come together, there may be more thoughts about where I've been and where I want to go. And where I want to go doesn't have anything to do with where I've been. And I say that only because, you know, if you're middle-aged, your childhood, Mercury can rule your childhood. It really, there's nothing you can do about changing that. So being able to keep the story moving forward, seeing the future. Here we see Mars and Venus are in an exact conjunction at 8 degrees. That's a scorpionic degree. So here I'm being really brave about my self-worth, about what I believe about myself to make money, resources. And all of this plays to a bigger picture, because when you're standing or honoring a belief that is supporting your future, that kicks in the law of attraction that then brings in the people, the situations, and the resources that will then move that story forward in the physical material world. Now let's go to the 24th. Let me change the time. We're going to have a full moon in Virgo at this time. And it's at 5 degrees, which is the Leo degree. Let me put the time in. It's at 4:30 a.m. Pacific. Okay, so we saw these new moons in January and February at the transformational scorpionic degree. Now we have a full moon, the brightest phase of the moon, offering you an illumination of some kind. And what I think that illumination may be could be where you, because I feel very much like what we're talking about over in January and February is your career, Leo. So Virgo rules our career. It rules our work life, our employers, our employees. It rules our health. It rules our pets. It rules our everyday activities. And this full moon is going to illuminate something. And I think while this illumination takes place, it feels favorable to me for some reason. It feels as if the energy that I'm experiencing over in Aquarius with Venus and Mars is really keeping me looking to my future. And now, as I look to Pisces, the Pisces energy, I'm thinking to myself, okay, now is a time to really put some structure into my thoughts. Maybe I want to do daily affirmations. Maybe I want to write my thoughts down, my ideas. And in the writing of them, you're putting them into the material world, which is then calling forth for the end of a cycle of. And when I say end of a cycle, I mean as if the end of being afraid or the end of being unsure. And now I'm willing to birth a more succinct version of me into the material world and take the time to process, to do it succinctly, to sit down maybe every day and say, how much do I believe that if I open a YouTube channel and I start to talk, people will want to hear me? And if you're so focused that, oh no, how do I make those people happy? Those people are all like little dots out there in the universe. You don't know them. So when you're making you happy, when it's an audience of one and you're like, I like this, again, it will naturally find its tribe. So I think this is really important. I also want to comment that Jupiter is going through your 10th house, okay? And that's the house of career. And right now, this is, to me, this is super important because you have an opportunity to liberate yourself and to bring abundance and wealth into your experience. This is going to be going on until about May. And then at the end of May, Jupiter is going to move into your 11th house. That is the natural house of Aquarius. So you could potentially, you could start a YouTube or a TikTok or something. There's a woman on TikTok named Mama Tot, and she started her TikTok in 2020 during the pandemic. And within 3 years, she's got over 12 million followers. There are some celebrities that don't have as many followers as she has. So I really think this is for my Leos. It's not about trying to figure out who will like you and who won't like you, but just to like yourself and let yourself move this story forward. All right. So now we're going to go towards the end of the month. This happens to be a leap year. But I'm going to hit the 28th. And I'm going to go back to the 12 p.m. spot. Well, what we see here is an exact conjunction between the Sun and Saturn at the Sagittarian degree. Sagittarius is where we have diverse thoughts, where we're, that's Jupiter rules Sagittarius. It's business, commerce, it's philosophical thoughts, it's broad, it's new, it's foreign, it's different, it's travel. To me, this is where you're starting to really anchor in to new ideas, new thoughts, broadening yourself within your creativity, within whatever you want to birth in the way of your career, your professional life. We see Mercury is at the Capricorn degree, conjunct Saturn. So here there's this could feel on some level like my thoughts, I can't think, my thoughts are all, limiting me. They're all making me go back to my history, where I've been. I also think that at this point, with everything you've experienced through the first couple of months of the year, this is having a different feeling. It's starting to say to Saturn, okay, I'm ready to start feeling some of the reward that everybody talks about that you offer, Saturn. I know up until now, it's all been dutiful work, obligatory work, endure. But now we see the sextile to Jupiter. Again, expansion because I'm thinking new things. 11, the 11th degree, the master number of thought. The 10th degree is a 1, which is again reflecting thought. Both Mercury and Jupiter rule thought in the sense of Mercury rules our everyday thoughts, the thoughts of this is what I got to do, this is where I got to go, these are the people I got to talk to, I got to pick up my kids. And Jupiter rules the, wow, I wonder, those big philosophical thoughts, those big thoughts about how wonderful the world and humanity could be. So this is a very, very favorable aspect to round the month off. And just for the sake of it, since we don't have a 29th of February very often, I'll go here and we see that we have, we still have Jupiter's moving towards Uranus. This is going to become conjunct in April. So as you're applying this energy in Pisces and in Aquarius, meaning Mars and Venus working this energy, being brave in how you want to express your skills, really sort of examining your story in the way of, does my history, if I muse on it, if I think about it, if I constantly worry that people won't like me, is this actually giving me a fair assessment of who and what I am? Leo, you're such a rich, luscious sign. You rule all the wonderful things, romance and the conception of children and playtime and fun and entertainment. And it's just such a joyous energy that now I think this is really offering you a transformation. It's like here, I'm going to task Saturn at that 9th degree to start giving me reward as I'm aware of my thoughts. I don't try to release them or eradicate them or do anything. I just am aware of it. And that point of reference takes me over here and liberates me and moves me into a foreign territory within my own mind. And that affords me new opportunities. So I think that's really powerful. All right, Leo, that's it for February 2024. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below in the description. Shoot me an email and I'll send you all the rates. If you would like to join me Sunday mornings live at 11 a.m., this is where we pull a tarot card and we do an angel reading and we get the angel's advice for traversing the week ahead's transits. All right. Thanks so much, Leo. Take care. I'll see you soon.